Or do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times that made us laugh. Y'all remember? Outweigh the bad. Yes, yes, yes. Taking you back again, Brother Heath L. Back to Black Classic Film Review from the Griot's Corner. Today, we're going to be showcasing a film that is incredibly classic. If you've never seen this film, please go and check it out. It's from 1975. The name of the film is Cooley High. I know there are a few watching right now who remember this movie and remember the impact that this movie had, not just on Black culture, but American culture. That's right, American culture. I remember as a boy sitting in front of the television, no flat screens then, just floor model televisions, and if the knob came off, you had to take some pliers. Some of y'all remember that, and had to use that to turn the channel. And if you wanted to go back, you couldn't go back with the pliers. You had to take it all the way around and go back to the front to start over again. I remember sitting and watching Cooley High in 1975. I was a boy, but I know there are a few of us watching that may have been a little bit older. It was probably teenagers during that time, and remember the impact that this movie had on you as a young person, whether you were Black or white, but particularly the Black culture, the Black community that was impacted by this movie. Why was the impact so great? Because it was a coming of age. It was a coming of age movie. It showed two friends by the name of Preach, portrayed beautifully by Glenn Turman, and Cochise, portrayed by Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, and it showed their friendship in high school. They were at their final year of high school. Cochise was an outstanding basketball phenom who had the opportunity to go to college and ultimately to the pros. Preach was a phenomenal writer, and he had dreams of doing some writing, and ultimately Preach, the character of Preach, went on to Hollywood to become a screenwriter, if you will. And it showed, again, them having fun, going to parties, stealing cars, messing around with girls, all of the things that young teenagers do in their final years of high school. But it also showed friendship. It showed love. It showed commitment. And unfortunately, it showed tragedy. Don't want to give that away. If you've never seen the movie Cooley High, go check it out. I don't want to give that away. For those of you who've seen Cooley High, you know exactly how this film culminates. And so it captures so much of Black life. Again, the setting was in the 60s, in the mid to late 60s, but it was released in 1975. So there was still a connection from the 60s era to this early 70s era. And so even these actors who were in this movie, they were impacted by the culture and the climate of coming out of the 60s. Again, we're still dealing with a lot of racial tension, a lot of racial bigotry. Cooley High somewhat touches on that slightly, but it deals more with the relational aspect that was taking place within that community of young people, and what they were hoping for, what they were dreaming about. Again, it showcases wanting to find love, wanting to find a sense of self, and it showed dreams gained, but unfortunately also showed dreams that were lost. And so this movie is probably a movie that probably needs to be viewed from time to time. I want to even encourage the young people, the millennial generation on forward, if you will, not on back, but on forward. I want to encourage you to watch it, because I think you will find some nuances and some familiarities of things that you are experiencing right now, and looking at what your grandparents and parents experienced in the early 70s. This movie is, again, phenomenal cast. Again, Glenn Turman, Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, Garrett Morris, Cynthia Davis, Corin Rogers, who played Pooter, Maurice Leon Harris, who played Willie. There were so many. Stephen Williams, you know the actor Stephen Williams, who plays Jimmy Lee. It was so much that was encapsulated in this movie. It's very interesting that Lawrence Hilton Jacobs had just filmed, had just completed the year before Claudine. We talked about Claudine a few days ago, and he went right into doing the role, developing the character of Cochise. Ultimately, like I mentioned, he went on to star in the successful television series Welcome Back, Kotter as Freddie Boom Boom Washington. Glenn Turman, what don't you want to say about Glenn Turman? I mean, so many classic films that he's been in, you know, even culminating in the successful television series in the early 90s, A Different World, where he played Colonel Taylor. Other movies that he's been in, other projects that he's been connected with and involved in that have been so outstanding. Garrett Morris, you know, we all remember Garrett Morris. Those of us who remember the very first SNL cast, Saturday Night Live cast, Not Ready for Prime Time TV. He was with that cast. Of course, those later generations remember Garrett Morris being Stan, the radio owner on the show Martin in the early 90s as well. And so there's so much here. Stephen Williams, as I mentioned, you know, he's been in so many classic films as well. And there's so many other performances that so many performers, if you will, that have gone on to do great things inside and outside of the entertainment industry. And so again, Cooley High, you can feel that era in this movie. You can feel what young Black people were asking about, contending with, dealing with relationships within the neighborhood and the communities, dealing with who to connect with and who to stay away from. And so we see some wise choices made. We see some unwise choices made in this film as well. Again, we're talking about young people. And so those years of discovery, there are times that choices are made that aren't always in their best interest, but we've all been through it. We've all gone down that road. And so Cooley High really showcases and captures that in a remarkable way. If you have not seen the 1975 film Cooley High, I am encouraging you and urging you to go see it. If you have seen it before, but you haven't seen it in a long time, why don't you go check it out again? Check out Cooley High and why it impacted you the way that it did. Again, Brother Heath L, I'm from the Griot's Corner, back to Black classic film review, Cooley High, 1975. Right on. Peace and blessings.